mean, I do. And the point is, you go through a healing process and you get to a point where you can manage your emotional reactivity. You develop strategies, which is what coaches do. We help you develop strategies to achieve a certain goal. So I always say if you're struggling to do something on your own and you can't manage it, get a coach. Get a coach. If you don't know what your attachment style is, if you go to the personal development school, it's by Thais Gibson. It's here on YouTube. She has a quiz, and I am in no way affiliated. I just took some of her courses and I like them, so I'm recommending them, right? But you need to know this attachment theory stuff if you're going to be dating, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship. You probably didn't even think about this stuff. You're probably unaware of it. You've been in a situation that you probably thought was going to be a lifelong situation. And now you find yourself single and you're like, I don't even know how to like function in this new digital dating landscape. I hate apps. I don't go out. Like, it's difficult to reestablish yourself in the dating world once you've been in a long-term commitment, right? It's hard, and it's hard out here anyway. And you can be the most beautiful woman in the world. It's still going to be hard. You can be the sexiest, richest guy. It's still going to be hard because all of those things have their own challenges. And if you haven't worked on yourself and healed yourself and know your attachment style and know your triggers, you're going to push people away without even realizing it. So let's go back to soft ghosting. Okay. Soft ghosting really occurs, like I said earlier, when someone starts like slowly falling off. That's what I call it. They're just like falling off, right? They're suddenly, first they were super engaged and they were into connecting with you and making plans and all of that. And suddenly you start to feel, hmm, this person seems less engaged than they were before, right? That is soft ghosting. And eventually, if you do nothing, they'll be gone. They'll just poof, be gone out of your life. Okay, so I want to tell you how to handle it. Okay. Recognizing it early is key. So you have to be aware of, what the norm is for your connection. And then when you feel a change in it, don't automatically react. Give it some time because you never know what's going on in someone else's life. I hear a lot of times if he wanted to, he would. I say that because I'm a woman and I date men, but you can date whatever you want. Typically the masculine energy, right? And I hear that a lot. And I'm like, but you never know what's going on in someone else's life, right? And the tendency when that happens, when you feel someone withdrawing, is for you to lean in and want to take action and close the gap, especially if you're a woman and especially if you have an anxious attachment style, right? So, what I'm going to tell you is really simple. Don't do that. And I know you've heard that before, but wait, I'm going to go a step further. Give it some time. And you need to really, during this time where you are not connecting with this person, you're just kind of watching and observing their behavior. You need to really think about what your needs are and what you want. Okay. And then you decide on a time frame. So you give it a deadline. Let's just say a week. So this person I've been talking to, they are suddenly acting weird to me, right? They're suddenly, before they were checking in with me every couple of days and we were talking a lot and we were planning dates and everything like that. And we were making future plans. And then suddenly, this is hypothetical. And then suddenly they are not talking to me as much. They're not checking out my Instagram. They're not following my stories and putting hearts on them, whatever. And suddenly I'm feeling it. So what you're going to do is you're going to decide, okay, I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to assume the worst. I'm not going to start overthinking it and catastrophizing. That was last week's episode. So go back and watch that one. And I'm going to just pause. And I'm going to get my own emotional reactivity in check. And I'm not going to freak out and assume that it's about me because you never know what's going on in someone else's life. But then you say, right, well, I'll just text him or her and ask if everything's okay. Don't do that either. Don't do that either, right? Not going to do that. You're going to decide on a time frame. Let's say a week. Okay. So you say, okay, I'm going to observe how this person is behaving for the next week or the next 3, 4 days. And during that time, I'm going to refocus my energy on my own life. Maybe I'll do something I haven't done in a while, like ice skate, or go to the gym a little bit extra, or I'll paint or something, whatever you do, go to the spa. I don't know. I go shopping, hang out with your kids, whatever. Focus on something else. Okay. During that time period. And then, right, when you decide that you're kind of refocused on yourself and you're not pouring all your energy in that person's direction, you're going to address it. Now, a lot of people say when people pull away, don't do anything, just give them distance. And you're giving them distance. First, you give them a little distance. But then what you're going to do is address it, because that's what a secure person would do. You don't have to be needy in the way you address it. You're going to address it, with calmness and compassion and maybe even some humor, and be willing to accept that maybe this is not the connection, right? But you're going to address it with them. You just say something like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling a shift in energy. I think you're great. So we call this a shit sandwich when I'm coaching and I have to give criticism to my students. Okay. So, and that's what I like to do. So you tell them, hi, I think you're great, and so it's two nice things and the difficult thing in the middle. All right. And so I think you're great. I think you're amazing. I've been having a really fun time with you, but I noticed that you seem a little bit more distant than before. And if you have stuff going on in your life, that's totally cool. Whatever. I just want to check in with you. If you're not feeling the connection, that's totally okay. But I just want to be respectful of your time and mine, or something like that. It doesn't have to be word for word, but something along those lines where you're stating your need. You're telling them you want to be respectful of your time. You're holding that boundary for yourself, right? And you're saying, hey, if you just need some time and space, that's cool. But let's talk about it. Let's, talk about it. And so one of two things are going to happen. And I'll be very honest with you. Either you're not going to hear anything at all, and there's your answer. Silence is an answer. Or the person is going to say, hey, this is what's up. Hey, no, this is going on in my life. And at that point, you can say, well, I understand that. Like, how can I support you? Or like, whatever, but you'll talk about it, is my point. If the person's really feeling you and into it. And if they're not, you're going to find out way faster than sitting at home, freaking out, being emotionally reactive, overthinking, catastrophizing, and whatever else goes on when you feel like somebody's being distant with you or pulling away, or falling off, like I like to say. And sometimes we have to let them fall. And sometimes you can just talk to the people, just talk to them, and they will be understanding and have that conversation with you. And sometimes they'll have the conversation with you and it won't be something that you want to hear. You will hear, yeah, I don't think we align, or whatever. If it's it's a real mature, emotionally intelligent person, they will respond to that message. If you do it with compassion, with humor, and with advocating for your own needs, because that's really important. Especially now, we're too old to be like playing games with people, right? If you're past 40, you don't have time to be wasting on playboys and playgirls. And honestly, if people are playing games at this age, it's pathetic. It is pathetic, right? You might be looking for, and if you're above 45, you might be looking for the last person you ever fall in love with or be with in your life. And so you have to cut people loose and be willing to let people go who aren't in alignment with your values and what you're looking for your future, right? No matter how old you are, really, that's true. But it gets more pressing the older you get, right? So, like I said, don't let it erode your confidence. You're amazing. You're unique, you're beautiful, you are fun, you're charming, you're sexy in your own way, right? And you don't need to let people erode your confidence because they don't see the value that you bring to the table. And chances are it's more about them than it is about you. When it doesn't work out for me, and I know this is silly, I always say it's them, it's not me. Right? Like, so just don't let it erode your confidence. It's sad if you feel sad, like give it a day. If you need to shed a tear, but move on. There are 7 billion people in the world. You can find another one to go out with, actually, or take a break. Like I said before, if dating is overwhelming you, take a break, focus on your own life, do cool stuff with your friends and your family or on your own, and then resume dating when you're feeling it again. Sometimes I take a break through the winter because it's winter. I live where it rains a lot. I'm like, I don't want to be going out a lot anyway. So I'll start dating again in the spring, right? If I haven't found someone. Right now, I'm kind of talking to some people, like, and I'm trying to see who I want to spend more time with, right? But for you, you choose what you want to do. If you're exhausted of it, don't do it. If you feel like you want to hang out and connect with people, definitely do it because you can meet people. And I know that the rap for online dating is really bad, but I do think you can meet someone online. Let's face it, most marriages are happening online now. Most relationships are happening online. The thing is there is a lot of obstacles which I'll talk about on another episode, but you just have to be willing to meet and talk to a lot of people, even if it's just texting them. You have to be open to it and just consider talking to them, texting them, meeting them. Obviously, remain safe, right? But you just have to talk to a lot of people. It's just like sales. Look at it like a job. You know, you're interviewing for your next life partner, right? So if you only talk to one person and it doesn't work out, then you just give up, right? You have to keep talking to people. And I know a lot of women are like, "Oh, I just, I want that one person that I'm going to just lock eyes with and it's going to be amazing." But that's really unrealistic. Okay? Like sometimes that can happen, but it's pretty rare. Usually, you need to meet people. You need to put yourself in places with the kind of people you want to meet are. So, if you want those wealthy men, for example, you better be at the golf club or playing tennis or some country club where they are. Okay. You look beautiful and you put yourself in the environment where the people you want to meet are. And then you mingle and you talk to them. And eventually, the more people you talk to, someone's going to ask you out and you're going to go. It's just that simple, right? So again, remember, don't let soft ghosting erode your self-confidence. Just address it before it gets out of hand. And if the person doesn't respond, okay, that's your answer. Right? But chances are they will, and you'll talk about it, and you'll either part ways really nicely or you'll continue seeing each other. And maybe they're just a dismissive avoidant, right? And they were just feeling overwhelmed by all of that connection and needed a break. Right? And so they kind of pulled back without even recognizing it because it's unconscious. And so when you call it out in a kind, compassionate, and maybe even humorous way, they will go, "Oh, okay." They'll respond to that, right? So thank you, Allie. I appreciate you. By the way, if you're watching this live, you can comment. You can ask questions on Hot Topics Live podcast or this special dating series I'm doing. You can be part of the show if you participate. So thank you, Allie. I appreciate you. This is my first time doing this on Facebook too, by the way. So I hope you enjoy it. 111 on my